Hi, it's Paula from Paula Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. Very excited today because the project I will show you has the opportunity to clear out quite a lot of scraps from your sewing rooms, and it did in mine. But just a little bit story behind it. There is a group of people here in Southampton where I live who taking their time to support homeless people, and I do contribute throughout the year, but there's the Christmas project every year which we are trying to put together in a means of making Christmas backpacks. In the last few years I've been contributing into those Christmas backpacks by giving toiletry sets. Last year I made those sets and I kind of wrapped them nicely in the Christmas paper, but I thought this year I can take it to the next level. I've got this pouch, squared pouch tutorial, which I shared with you some time ago, but I've made now this one, which is quicker and easier to do, and I do need to make it quick and easy because I need to make 30 of them. The very good thing with this project is that it cleared out 2 boxes of batting scraps I had from my kind of finishing of the quilts in the last couple of months, which I shared with you as well. It cleared out the box of fabrics which I didn't want to use for quilts because it wasn't necessarily the cotton, so any polycottons and things like that I was putting aside. It all cleared out now, that box as well. It cleared out 2 boxes of the orphan blocks, so I didn't have to kind of prepare new blocks for those pouches. I just used up every orphan block I had or any unfinished project I had. If I decided I'm not gonna finish it, it just went towards those pouches. So as you can see, it really made a dent in my kind of things. I wasn't sure where to progress with them. So I'm very happy with it. So I'll show you how to make those pouches quickly. Now this pouch is very kind of fairly big, so you can put a lot of stuff inside. So if you have maybe some Christmas presents you don't know, you want to package nicely, instead of buying a bag, a paper bag, or take a wrapped paper, you can just make a pouch like this as well. You can obviously make it a bit bigger or a bit smaller if you need to. Make a pouch like this, pack your stuff inside and gift it, so the person will have extra gift as well, or any other occasion it's good gift. So let me just show you what I've put inside. As you can see, it's quite nice and big, so I've got all of those things which Christmas packages with toiletries should have. Quite a lot of things inside. So as you can see, nice big pouch, but made much quicker than any other pouch I did before. So let me show you how I started with those. So as mentioned, I've used all my batting scraps. So I went through them, all of those strips from like scoring up the quilts, or you had some leftover from the side when you took away what you don't need and things like that. I also, a part of the 2 boxes of those smaller scraps, I've used up one old fleece blanket. That it's brilliant for me because I was really pushing those things from one corner to another, and now they're gone. So as you can see, the strips of the batting are various width, depends what I was doing with the batting at the time that scrap kind of came in. I went through it, I trimmed them to about 14 inches in length. I could probably go this way as well, but it was easier to work with the shorter pieces for me, so you kind of have to decide. Then I trimmed them to make them nice and square on the sides, and then I batted them together to stitch. I've got tutorial again how to do that process, so you can refer to it. The final piece here is about 18 by 14 inches. Then I took my box with the orphan blocks like I've mentioned, and I've put them all together to again replicate around 14 by 18 inches rectangle. However, the final squared up piece like this one is 12.5 by 16.5, and again you can play with the dimensions, with the sizes to make them bigger or smaller, depends what you need. So what we need now, we need some 2.5 inch strips. So I will prepare it exactly the same way as I would do for the binding for the quilt. So I literally just fold it into half and iron. But also on top of that, you will need a piece of either the same fabric or you can use different. Again, fold it into half and then fold it into half to inside, ironed and stitched. And we need 2 of those pieces. One of those pieces will be 5 inches long, like this one, and the other piece will be 12 inches long, like this one. So if you have a longer piece of 2.5-inch strip, you can just do it in one go, or I was doing many of those pouches in one go. Again, I was just going through whole strips, sew them together. Now you cannot see it on this one, but I actually used decorative stitch when I was sewing it around, not straight stitch. You can use straight stitch obviously as well, but if you want a little bit more fancy, you can use some decorative stitches as well when you're sewing it together. So that's what we need. I will just quickly prepare that binding strip and we start sewing. So like mentioned, this is 12.5 by 16.5. It's got 3 layers like normal quilt. It was obviously bigger and I trimmed it. I simply stitched it with the straight stitch, just going around with the kind of rectangle shape. Nothing complicated, but you can again do it as decorative or as simple as you want. You can just go, you know, with wiggly lines, whatever you like. Also, this is great opportunity for you to use free motion stitching if you want to practice, because it's a small piece. It will be easy to go under the machine. So if you kind of plan to practice it, you can have 2 in 1, a little bit of practice and also a piece you can use for your pouch. Okay, so the first step is going to be stitching the binding onto my piece, and I will do it from the left side and then reverse to the front to finish off. Now once you finish your quilting pieces here and preparing the straps and things like that, I would recommend you to change your needle to jeans one, and also to put a thread you would normally use for like normal sewing rather than quilting, a little bit stronger, because obviously we're going through now layers and things like that, and you like to sew with ease. So I'm just changing my foot now here to 1/4 inch one at the moment. Now it doesn't have to be 1/4 from the edge, it can be any distance you choose to go with. How I like to finish those is have as little as possible here and then as much of that strip on this side. This is how I like, but this is all preference and you can go for any finish you like. You could also use wider strips to have a more on the other side. Again, your choice and your decision and your preference. But just quickly let's stitch that to this side. Okay, now I've stitched it. I'll just use some clips here to bend it strip down over the edge on the other side. Again, you can do it by hand if you like to have a hidden stitch. You can use a straight stitch to stitch it on the bottom here. What I would do, I will actually use a decorative stitch to put that edge down, and again, it's a preference. Whatever you do, it will look good. Just have fun with it. Just going to do that. So I've got my favorite stitch here. I just need to change the foot for that other stitch. So nothing complicated here, we're just stitching that edge down. And like I said, you can use straight stitch, you can use decorative stitch, whatever you fancy. So one side done, I will now repeat it on the other side, and the stitch I'm using looks like a kind of wonky blanket stitch. So I will now quickly repeat the process on the other side, and we will be ready to add the zipper to our pouch. Okay, I've got my sides now finished off. I will just trim the sticking out edges here so it's nice and ready for the zipper. Now with the zipper, if you don't worry about kind of removing that pulley and put it back on, and whether it will match later or not, what I do normally, I just get myself a zipper which is about 4 inches longer than what I need, and I can sew that zipper without actually cutting it or removing the pulley or anything like that. So what you want to do is you want to start stitching from this top edge on one side, and then we'll kind of align the bottom. So what happens when you open it up, you've got that extra space here to kind of maneuver. So you just make sure you start from the side where the pulley is at the top when it's closed. The other thing is, this is more or less how I'm aligning my zipper. It's not coming to the very close of the teeth, it's a little bit away. And the third thing, you can use obviously a zipper foot to put it in. I want to use decorative stitch to attach it, so you would normally just go straight here with the zipper foot on this side, so you can stitch very close to the edge here, and that's not a problem. If you want to use straight stitch, absolutely fine. But I've got a little bit of something with the zippers that I don't like, that when they are stitched on, that one of those edges kind of flapping around here. That's just me, honestly. You probably wouldn't even notice, but I do, and I like to do something about it. So what I decided to do is do that blanket stitch again on this side, so it will stitch at the top as you would normally do, but then it's got those kind of legs coming out of it to make that rest of the zipper tape flat. Okay, so we'll open the zipper and we'll put it on the machine and we'll put our piece, and I'm just starting just below where that metal thing is, which is kind of ending the zipper. And as mentioned before, I'm not just by the edge of that plastic teeth, I'm just a little bit away, so I can put my foot kind of edge here in between that teeth and my piece. So that kind of end of the foot here will gauge my distance between those two things. But if you think that's too complicated, just go ahead, use your zipper foot and just go straight stitch down. Again, that's all preference. It's just me that I like to have the decorative stitch there. So as you can see, I was going quite slowly here, stitching it, making sure that I've got that nicely aligned here. So I'm ready to go to do the same thing on the other side. But what I need to do first is find the point. I will now align the other side of the bag. So I'm just going to take the ruler here, and according to this kind of line here, I will draw on that tape where I need to align it. Okay, so now I'll just put it the way the bag would have been put together. Align my mark here with the edge of my tape here, edge of the pouch. I'll put the pin here just at the beginning. I'm not gonna do it till the end. I just want to hold it in place. Now I'll just open it and we are ready to stitch. As you can see, there's enough space here to allow us to stitch it together, so it's no problem. And I will do exactly the same thing. I'll just use the edge of my foot to guide me where I want to be between the distance between the teeth and the edge of my bag. And I can start. Once you did the first few stitches, you can take the needle out and then go slowly, readjust as you go along. Make sure you plan yourself where exactly you want to be on this tape. You may even draw a line if that's useful to you. Just use something that is washable, just in case you kind of go a little bit wonky there and it will be visible. You can draw a line so you have something to align the edge of your pouch with. Okay, so if I've done everything right, I should be able to close this bag now and have it all nice and even, which I do. Perfect. So the next thing we want to find at the bottom edge of it, where is the middle of it. So I'm just aligning those edges here in the middle, making sure that my zipper is also in the middle. And I'm just gonna make a small notch here in this side. That's my middle, and I will do the same thing on the other side. I can even close it just to make sure it's aligned properly for the zip as well. And notch. Now you want to open your bag a little bit, turn it around, and first of all I just want to I will close it back a little bit, What I want to do is baste this edge here so that pouch doesn't open all the time, and it doesn't, you know, it helps with the sewing later. So I'm literally just going to go with the straight stitch here, just through the tape little bit, or that binding here, then into the zipper. Slow down when you get into the part where you've got the teeth. You may even hand crank it if you want to make it sure that you don't kind of go into the teeth, and then to the other side. Just one pass on this one, it doesn't need any longer. So now it's kind of doesn't open, and I can do the rest of the project. The second part I want to do on this side where the zipper is closing is add my handle, 12 inches like I said. I will fold it into half, put to the inside, and again baste it. So because I have not been sewing in like that binding very close to the teeth, that gap here now is perfect to put that handle in. Now you can open the back also a little bit more, because obviously we have stitched it here, so it will not move again, and just baste it again. Then slow down where the teeth are, and done. Now on the other side, it's that smaller piece, 5 inches piece I've said about. It's exactly the same thing. I'll just fold it into half. I'm actually adding also my label to go inside, but obviously you don't have to if you don't have any. I just like to put my label in between, and I will also baste it here the same way. I'm basting about, I don't know, 1/4 inch away from the edge, because we will be stitching it with the 1/2 inch allowance, so it's fine. Now that I've done that, I've got my notches here, so I know where it needs to be a needle, so the notch should kind of align nicely with that tape sticking out. And again, I will just baste about 1/4 or 1/8 from the edge. I'm not stitching from the edge to edge, literally just maybe 2 inches where the tape is in the middle here. Once you've done it, have a look on the other side. If it didn't bow, kind of sometimes it can kind of move when you're stitching. So if it didn't bow, it's fine. If it kind of moved or shifted, just remove that stitch and do it again, just to make it nice and even. And the same thing on the other side. Make sure your bag is now quite nicely open inside. You don't have a struggle later to open it. Just align your notch with the tapes. And again, we're just basting here, basting stitch. You can even lengthen the stitch length here. It's just to hold everything in place. And again, I'm not going from the edges, I'm just going at about 2 inches in the middle, just to hold it in place. So now that we've done that, I can remove all of those extra sticking out pieces. You don't need them anymore. Remove any sticking out threads, just tidy up, and we are ready for the next step. So what I want to do is take a ruler and mark 1.5 inch where that edges is still to sew, 1.5 inch away on each side, on both sides. 1.5 here, just on that side where is the raw edge, not the one which is folded. And then I will turn around my bag and do the same thing on the other side. 1.5 inch here, 1.5 inch here, okay, marks are done. So a little bit of work now here. So you know, here it's not stitched, so you should be able to open it, just that middle is basted here. Find your marks, and kind of flatten them there, so that mark is on the edge here, and then put your marks together so that the extra fabric is in the middle. What you want to do before anything else is pull out a little bit that folded fabric from the inside, like just a little bit, and just either pin it or clip it, whatever you use in your sewing room. just so it's held in place. And repeat it on all other 3 sides. So again, mark here, marks are on my fold. I'm putting marks together, and then I'm just pulling this extra fabric here, that fold from the inside, so it sticks out only ever slightly. It's just what happens if you do that. If you don't do that, when you're stitching, it kind of goes inside and then it's not sewing it properly. That's experience of sewing probably 15 of those bags already. So I'm just sharing it so you know. Just ever slightly it needs to stick out, just make a little bit better finish. And do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now you can flatten the rest of the bag with that fold in, so it's just gonna make that sewing easier. It's for nothing else really. It's just if it doesn't stick out here, it's easier to put under machine, and also it takes away the kind of the pressure from that seams here, or the pressure from the clips holding on this side, so the fabric doesn't move. So literally just 2 clips just to hold it in place so it's nice and flat. And again, I'm gonna baste it, but I'm not starting with my basting just from the edge. It's because I don't like those stitches to, or the threads to be at the very edge. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't look very neat. So I'm starting from a little bit away, and I'm at the 1/2 inch seam allowance now. I will take 2 stitches forward, and then I will go back to the very edge of that bag, and then forward again, to the very end, and then backwards again. So when I'm going to remove my needle and my threads, it's not at that very sticking out edge here. And again, I will baste it on this side. Again, I'm not starting from the very edge, I'm going a little bit in, few stitches forward, and go backwards. Just remember, this is not the final stitch, this is just the basting it in place. And there is no problem. Now if your that inside is sticking out a little bit more, you can now nicely trim it, make it nice, and that edge nice and kind of even. And last part really is add a strip here to finish off those edges. Again, I'm using 2.5 inch strip. You could have it a little bit narrower, about 2 inches would be good as well, but I just had them cut to 2.5, so that's what I will use. Again, I'm not starting from a very end of it. I don't want those threads to stick out there at the very edge, so I'm probably, I don't know, a 1/2 inch away from the edge. I will put my needle down and I will go backwards here first. To the end. Remember, there's that 1 stitch there already which is holding it in place, so it's okay. Backwards here. You don't even have to go to the very end on this side either, because we're still adding another stitch. It's just to hold that tape in place. And you can see here, I want that tape to stick out on the both sides a little bit, about 1/2 inch. I will now add it to this side as well. The jeans needle now here is very useful because it's going through those layers with no problem. Again, trimming away 1/2 inch. Now open it and check that the tape you've added now covers that first basting stitches, because if it doesn't, you can go in and just move the stitch a little bit higher. That doesn't disturb anything, but if it's covering here, you're happy with it, we can now finish the other side. So I'll just fold it to the inside, just use some pins or some clips, fold this to the inside, use clips or some pins just to hold it for you, just to make it a little bit easier for yourself. Sometimes we don't have enough fingers to hold things in place, or hands, So now I will fold it to the inside and I will fold it again, and just making sure that my edge or that folded edge is covering the stitch underneath. And then I will just again use clips to hold it all nicely in place. If you've got any sticking out thread, just trim that at this point just to make a nice finish here. It just should finish just below that stitching line. If you feel like there's too much bulk for you to fold it all like this, just trim that tape a little bit, make it 2 inch. It should be easier to fold. So again, to the inside, just use the clip, to the inside, just use the clip, into half, and then on top. And again, I'm not starting stitching from the very edge of that bag. I will do exactly the same thing as I did before. I'll start probably somewhere about inch from the below. 2 ways of doing it. I can start from here, go to the end, turn around whole bag and go backwards, and then turn around and kind of come back to this point, or start stitching, go backwards, go forward, like we did with the basting. So it depends how you feel like doing it. Either way will work. So on this one I will go around so you can see what I meant. So I'm just going forward from this point. Then I will just turn all that bag around, and I'll go back on the same stitch. I came back where I started from. I can trim the threads here, and now go to the end. Turn the bag again, and then come back to the starting point. If it doesn't want to move, it's because there's a bulk difference between what's at the top and the back of the foot. So you can put something underfoot there to keep it in balance and it will move. What I do sometimes is just move the needle up after those first few stitches, and when it doesn't move slightly my bag, put the needle back, and it will move as well. And then I finish my backwards forwards here a few times in the middle, and again there's nothing sticking out here. That's what I'm going for, this nice clean finish on the edges here. I just need to cut those few threads here in the middle. And in this one I will do like I did with the basting. So again, I'm starting from about inch away from the edge there, put my needle down, have a 3 stitches, go backwards to the very end of the bag. You just need to be careful the tape doesn't move on from there too much. Now go forward. Again, with that bulk the machine may not be moving, so lift your foot, either level your foot or move your needle, and then it should go in. Cut the threads, coming back on the same stitch, go to the very end now. Finish here and then go backwards at least an inch or so, and then you can finish off your thread there. Same effect, we don't have any hanging threads here on the edge, but that's just a little bit of different technique, and again, try both and see what works for you better. Now I can remove my clips, and that's it, the bag is finished. Before I show you my finished project, just a quick reminder where you can find me and how you can support my work. You can subscribe to my website to be notified when new tutorials, products or patterns are released. You can find me on my Facebook page, Pola Photo, or you can join my group page, Pola Quilting with Friends, where we all share work made inspired by my tutorials and answer any questions you may have. There is Instagram account called Pola Quilting, and if you like to share something you made based on my tutorials, please tag me using hashtag Pola Quilting with Friends. To support my work, please like, comment and share when you see my posts or tutorials. Let your quilting friends know about this channel and invite them to the group and subscribe to my channel. If you like to contribute extra, you can use super thanks on YouTube or buying me virtual tea, coffee or lunch available on my page. All links are in the description below. I would like to thank you all for all the support so far and letting me grow in what I do. So it's actually much less complicated than the other one box pouch we did in the first tutorial, but this pouch is equally big, equally cute, quilted and ready to be packed with all the goodies you want to put inside. So I hope you will come back for show and tell when I show you all my 30 bags when they're ready. Still got a little bit of work to do. I think I'm halfway through with those pouches, so yeah. If you plan to perhaps do similar kind of campaign within your community to give some stuff for homeless people for Christmas, toiletry wise, I will put in the below a list of things I'm putting in the pouches, because some things are more important than others, depend obviously on the how much money you want to spend on each kind of content of the pouch. Any questions, any comments, please leave them in the comments sections below. Tell me what you think about the pouch. Tell me which one you prefer. Would you prefer the traditional method of boxing it, or is this one something you would like to try? Are really good projects to make for Christmas or for any other occasions, so I hope you give a go. Thank you for watching. I hope you will share this tutorial, subscribe if you haven't done so. Happy sewing and see you next time.